Welcome back to Wrestling World. A lot of things happened this week for the Braun Strowman and Bray Wyatt feud. A lot of very interesting events took place and completely flipped the story upside down, so I wanted to break every single part down. Let's start off with what happened on Friday afternoon. Nikki Cross, who has been Alexa's tag team partner over the last year or so, finally broke her silence about the Fiend taking Alexa Bliss. Nikki took to Twitter to officially address the situation with her former best friend. Nikki said, "For the last couple of weeks now, I've been trying to think on what to say. Trying to think of the right thing to say. I keep replaying it over and over in my head. Pushing Alexa down like that, I think it just let the obsession of becoming SmackDown Women's Champion just get to me too much. I left my best friend like that. I left my best friend for what? I didn't win. So what was it all for? I just wanted to talk to her so badly. I just wanted to tell her, I'm sorry, I did this. This is all on me. All of it left my best friend alone and vulnerable, no matter what. I know that I have to make that right." So that was a great short promo clip from Nikki, and it was desperately needed for the story. Nikki and Alexa were together for well over a year, so it wouldn't make sense for Nikki to just push her down, walk away, and never address Alexa again. Seeing Alexa get attacked by the Fiend probably changed the way Nikki felt and really made her reconsider a lot of her actions. A few weeks prior to the capture, Nikki Cross was just acting so differently towards Alexa. But like Nikki explained, it was just that she was so obsessed with becoming SmackDown Women's Champion that she let the title come before her friendship with Alexa. So now, Nikki seems to be cooled off and back to being her normal self. We even see a quick moment between Nikki Cross and Alexa Bliss backstage. Nikki goes up and hugs Alexa Bliss, but if you keep an eye on Alexa's face, you can tell something's going on there. It just doesn't seem like she's angry with Nikki Cross. I just got the feeling that Alexa was clearly focusing on something else and was clearly zoned out and disturbed by whatever she was thinking about. We then get to Alexa Bliss' sit-down interview, and I really love things like this, because we hear so much dialogue from the characters, and it really gives them a lot of time to express themselves and explain what's going on in their heads, which I love because it really helps us to understand a character's perspective. So Michael Cole opens the interview, and I liked his opening line. He said that Alexa has sort of been like a puppet in the situation between Braun Strowman and The Fiend. That's very true. Even Alexa herself seemed undecided for which side she's on here. So we finally get to the interview, and it cleared up a lot of things and issues that I was previously talking about. Alexa is asked right away how she is doing after everything that happened over the past few weeks, and she responded with a simple, "I've been better." She goes into detail about how the relationship with Strowman started several years ago. She said that Strowman could be very intimidating at first, but she wanted to know the man behind the monster. So that's exactly what she did. Alexa said that he's awesome, a good man, funny, he's protective, and so much more. Alexa said that they used to call each other out and be fun with each other. They really were best friends. Alexa was then asked about if she saw their relationship ever becoming romantic. Alexa responded by saying, "I mean, maybe. Braun cared about me and I cared about him a lot." She was then asked if this was the reason why the Fiend came after her, and here's when Alexa started to hint at actually enjoying her time with the Fiend. She said that the only person that could answer that question is the Fiend. Alexa also described being in the Fiend's presence and had this to say: "It's scary and terrifying, and also compelling, and once you interact with him, you can feel his presence. And for the first time in my life, I understand when they say a moth to a flame." The definition and background of that phrase Alexa mentioned refers to the attraction that moths have to bright lights, as well as dangerous ones, such as a fire. So that answer right there is a little deep and shows that Alexa probably warmed up to the idea of being in the Fiend's presence, basically saying that she felt the attraction despite it being one dangerous flame, so to speak. So that's very interesting. We'll get back to that later. The interview closes out with Alexa being asked how she felt about Strowman, saying that he doesn't care about her at all. Alexa fights back emotions, doesn't say a word, and then we fade to a black screen. Now we get to the main event segment. Braun Strowman is out first with a whole new look, which I really liked. It's not anything major, he just shaved his head bald, but I think the new look goes well with the idea of him having this whole new persona. I absolutely love the new Braun Strowman. This is how Braun Strowman's character should have been from day one. Just this absolute monster of a man that doesn't care about anyone. Braun's character really went through some rough spots over the last year alone. Who can ever forget that WWE had him dancing on SmackDown just a few months ago? So to see that version of Strowman compared to the one we just saw, he's definitely going in the right direction. Braun called out the Fiend and saying everything he's going to do to him, and out comes Alexa Bliss. Alexa said that she wants to just have a conversation with Braun before he even gets more upset. Alexa claims that this isn't the Braun she knows, and she believes that he didn't mean what he said about her the week before. Braun confirms that he did mean everything he said, and that she was just using him as a pawn, dragging him by his beard, singing and dancing in the car, and all these other ridiculous things. Now, this next line from Strowman really bothered me and sort of took me out of the moment. Strowman then says, "Everyone that encounters the Fiend changes, including you." Now, I really didn't like this line at all. Obviously, Braun Strowman is telling the truth. Everyone that faces the Fiend changes, and Alexa will eventually change as well. But did he actually have to verbally mention that? It's like the equivalent of a big movie villain saying, "I'm turning evil now." That's just not something you hear from the character in a movie. Movies and TV shows usually show you the transition instead of flat out having the characters say that they're changing. That was the only line from Strowman that didn't sit well with me. I think it would have been better to just visually show the change in Alexa and Braun instead of having the characters actually say, "I'm changing, you're gonna change." That just feels weird to me. Alexa then proceeds to slap some sense into Braun, but he picks her up and holds her in the air. I really like this moment because if you notice, it's mirroring what we saw the week prior, but the roles are flipped. Bray Wyatt was once using Alexa Bliss to try to lure Braun Strowman out, but now Strowman is using Alexa Bliss to lure the Fiend out. Very interesting to see how the tables have turned. The Fiend eventually comes out in time to stop Strowman from doing anything else to Alexa Bliss, and this is when it hit me the most. I think we just saw our characters trade roles. It looks like Braun Strowman is now our heel champion, and as crazy as it sounds, the Fiend is our babyface challenger that cares about Alexa. Another good thing to also point out is that it seems that Alexa will be sticking around in this story a bit longer than I expected. I thought Alexa was freed and would go back to doing her own thing, but I feel like she was just pulled back into the story. She was already enjoying being in the Fiend's presence before this all happened, but now, after seeing what Braun Strowman did to her, this is probably going to motivate her to help the Fiend even more. So Alexa Bliss serving as the Fiend's manager is starting to look like a possibility again. I love how this story is going so far. I love Strowman's transition, but now we just have to patiently wait for Alexa's transition. It looks like she's sort of in between her transitions right now. How are you enjoying this story so far, and where would you like it to go next? Leave your comments below. Don't forget to subscribe with all notifications on, and leave a like if you enjoyed. Thanks for watching, guys.